Alright, grappling fans, to MCW, the only way he's stably and making his way to the ring, the latest recruit to the Brute Squad, the tall, powerful mass man that is El Kukui. Nothing is known about him, but if the Brutes recruited this man, you know that he's got a nasty temperament. Also on his team we have D. Miller, the striking extraordinaire, and Damian Stevens, another new recruit. But could the absence of the... Look at the size of El Kukui. And of course their opponents, the Crazies, their demeanour seems to have dropped. We have Mikey Shadows, Valkyrie and Psycho Steve. They see referee Bisto trying to remind the monsters of the rules. And the intimidation of El Kukui speaks for itself, but it looks like Psycho Steve expressing some intimidation, as is everyone. Such is the strategy of the Brute Squad. Strike fear into the hearts of your opponents, rendering them incapacitated, making them easy prey. But if they get past the first hurdle, you have the striking extraordinaire that is D. Miller. Referee calls for the bell. This match is underway. Psycho Steve starting out against D. Miller. The Crazies feeding off the adulation of the fans. It can have an effect. Psycho Steve, quite a powerhouse himself. The collar elbow tie up, both men jogging for position. Psycho Steve does have the experience advantage. Sizing up D. Miller with the wrist lock. And I suspect Psycho Steve is testing D. Miller. D. Miller can strike with the best of them. I do know that he's a little inexperienced when it comes to the technical, the mat wrestling, but he's certainly picking up. There you see Psycho Steve with the experience, using some psychology of his own. And now D. Miller with the reversal. This is a test of wrestling psychology. Wrestlers often do this. And now D. Miller into the hammerlock, testing Psycho Steve. Psycho Steve with the reversal. And there you see the intimidation factor. That could play a part in this. Oh, I've just seen Gem Stone making her way to the ring. Don't know what she's doing here. D. Miller with the takedown. Trying to use his strength, force down the shoulders of Psycho Steve. This could be over fairly quickly. And this is good wrestling. You see D. Miller with the leg out. Oh, very nice reversal by Psycho Steve into an armbar. And now Psycho Steve utilising his wrestling experience, wrenching on the arms. Fans are getting behind the crazy man. Psycho Steve with the wrist lock takedown, showing some very good technical wrestling, forcing the arm, trying to force the shoulders down. This is a very evenly fought match. And there you see the power of D. Miller, surprising Psycho Steve. He didn't see that coming. For his favouring the arm, that could play a factor. Now, Steve and D. Miller choosing not to tag out. This is going quite a grudge match. And there you see the strikes we were talking about. Look very close to an open fist. And D. Miller back into the corner, but again choosing not to tag. And I think Brute Squad, had he been there, the man formerly known as Brute Squad, I think he would have had words with D. Miller. And that was a 2 count. Referee a little out of position there. Now D. Miller doing what he does best, striking, stamping. And now into a chin lock, choosing to wear down Psycho Steve. I think that might be the Achilles heel of D. Miller. That temper of his, something which I fear that man formerly known as Brute Squad would have to keep in check. Referee Bisto checking the arm. It's dropped twice. If this drops 3 times, it's over. Fans getting on the case of Psycho Steve. He's powering up. I've seen this plenty of times. There's not a whole lot of steam behind the elbows, but Psycho Steve managing to break the hold. Reaches the tag. And in comes Mikey Shadows. Again, D. Miller choosing not to tag. Mikey Shadows calling for a striking contest. Might be a tall order. I think the real story here is D. Miller choosing not to tag. Miller with a powerful forearm strike, but Shadows can mix it with anyone. And now Shadows sets up Miller. Whip to the far buckle. Head of steam. Here comes Shadows, an avalanche, and a half clothesline. Now Shadows measuring D. Miller. Whip to the far buckle. Shadows with another head of steam. And another crushing blow in the corner. Now Shadows firmly in control, measuring Miller. Into a nice short arm clothesline, a modified short arm clothesline. Shadows the southpaw. And now lateral press. 2 count only. And there you see some good work from Miller trying to roll to his corner. Shadows realising that he's close to no man's land. Enemy territory rather. Miller using deceiving tactics, resorting to the strikes. Does what he does best. And now Miller finally makes the tag and tags in the big man. And the intimidation of El Kukui speaks for itself. Shadows has faced many bigger, stronger opponents, but the mystery of El Kukui could work against him here. Well, I would suspect El Kukui's perhaps given up a lot of it. A nice move by El Kukui, forcing him into the corner. It is illegal, but referee's intimidated to get in there. Clubbing blows by El Kukui. This is classic Brute Squad tactics. But there you see a rookie mistake made by El Kukui. He doesn't care, throws him. He throws Shadows into their corner, but the rest of the Crazies reluctant to make a tag. And now El Kukui whips Shadows to the far side, very relaxed. Shadows with a high cross body, but too much power, too much strength, into a fierce body slam. A very impressive debut for El Kukui. Lateral press, forcing all the way. Shadows managed to kick out. And now El Kukui working on Shadows in the corner. Getting ahead of steam. Here comes Kukui. An avalanche in the corner. Shadows needs to make a tag. A relaxed leg drop, but when you're that big, hook in the leg. El Kukui's been well instructed. are now resorting to the fists. And there you see referee Bisto very reluctant to try and call off El Kukui. Now El Kukui, firmly in control, measures shadows. Whip to the far side. El Kukui taking his time. Small head of steam and another crushing blow in the corner. El Kukui having a great time, although I do suspect Shadows. A crushing shoulder into the corner. El Kukui is devastated. And there again you see El Kukui intimidating referee Bisto. He doesn't care, he's having a good time. Crazies don't know what to make of this new team of monsters. But there you see Shadows doing the right thing, trying to take down the legs of the big man. Shadows suffering the brunt. That was a very nice knee. Kukui wisely rolling to the corner, tags in Damian Stevens. Now Shadows could be making the same mistake as Miller, choosing to stay into the ring. Stevens offering a chance, in the interest of fairness, challenging Valkyrie. Tag made, Valkyrie in the ring. This should be very interesting. Little is known about Damian Stevens. He has a martial arts background. I think he's given a fair bit of experience. Valkyrie has a few more years on Stevens. Shove to the far side, the pace quickens. And I think Stevens trying to choke Valkyrie, but Valkyrie reverses into a short arm clothesline. I suspect Valkyrie is somewhat intimidating. I think she's going for a fisherman's suplex. Nicely executed, a good bridge. Stevens showing resiliency, kicking out. Knife edge chop. And I don't think the monsters are liking what they're seeing. Referee Bisto trying to call Valkyrie out the corner. Valkyrie winning the fans in favour. Damian Stevens in trouble. He's trying to get... Damian Stevens does the right thing. Tags in D. Miller. And Valkyrie backing away. What's she going to do here? You can see Shadows is still recovering from the onslaught. Psycho Steve is also bearing the brunt. Miller calling in for Psycho Steve. Valkyrie's having none of it. I think she's resorting to a bit of reverse psychology. Fans getting behind. Valkyrie into the waistlock. But Miller with just too much size, too much strength, blocking the hold. And this surprises me. He's normally in your face. I think he's resorted to some psychological bullying. And I don't want to sound sexist, perhaps he's reluctant, but I know that Miller's not reluctant to hit anybody. But I think his offensive focus is Psycho Steve. Valkyrie with the roll up. This surprises Miller. And staying on him with the 2 count. And I think this has surprised Miller. His mind is on Psycho Steve, allowing Valkyrie to trip up the big man. And Miller's very unhappy about it. He's very frustrated. This could be a ploy by the Crazies. Valkyrie, I think, has taken a feather or two from Miller, softening up Miller, and now Psycho Steve dropping some of the crazy persona, and now Miller now using brute squad tactics. Referee Bisto is reluctant to get on the case of Miller, checking on Shadows, checking on Valkyrie, but this is allowing for the triple team. Psycho Steve in the wrong part of town. The instructions of the man formerly known as Brute Squad is now coming into play. This is classic Brute Squad. And there you see Gemstone. There's Gemstone and Mr. Vane circling the ring, perhaps scouting their opponents. Snapmare. D. Miller trying to wear down Psycho Steve into the reverse chin lock. And D. Miller was trying to do this earlier. You cut off the energy, the crazy demeanour of Psycho Steve, and there you see the Monsters trying to distract referee Bisto. Referee's losing control in this one. I think Psycho Steve, with the veteran tactics, trying to reach for the ropes, and stood very close as El Kukui. But Psycho Steve breaks the hold. D. Miller risking disqualification, cutting it very close. But again, classic Brute Squad tactics. And again, D. Miller trying to distract the Crazies. And now the team taking place. Referee is just way too intimidated. And now Damian Stevens, now we know why he's there. Referee's lost control in this one. Bisto is just way too intimidated. He's lost control. Miller off the ropes. Head of steam. A modified power slam and suplex. Kukui with a lateral press. And now all hell's broken loose. Valkyrie breaking the hold, but wisely backing away from El Kukui. Psycho Steve is in a lot of trouble. Miller, I think, is trying to orchestrate this team in the absence of Brute Squad. And now tagging back in Damian Stevens. Perhaps an offering, allowing Damian Stevens to mop up the rest. Damian Stevens, I do know he has a bit of a martial arts background. Possesses some very powerful, some very quick kicks. Psycho Steve is in a lot of trouble. He needs to tag out. D. Miller just having a good time, clubbing and stamping away at the battered remains of Psycho Steve. But Steve inching closer and closer to his corner. The inexperience of Damian Stevens is really coming into play here. And there you see Steve getting closer and closer. El Kukui and D. Miller don't like what they see here. Damian Stevens is playing into the Crazies game, and there you see Psycho Steve beginning to recover, and I suspect he's playing a bit of possum. A very casual strike into a lateral press, hooks the leg, a 1 count. Psycho Steve, well rested, resorted to the mat wrestling, and now into a leg vice grip. This has really backfired on the Monsters. And now almost with the guillotine leg drop. Miller was distracted by, I think, Mr. Vane and Gemstone having words with El Kukui. Valkyrie tags in. And I suspect that Damian Stevens has had a bit of damage to his neck. First turnbuckle on the inside. A flying clothesline. Lateral press. Stevens kicking out. Miller suspecting that there's trouble. And you know that the Monsters aren't going to sit well with this. Valkyrie with a sleeper cinched in. Miller suspecting that there's trouble. And now El Kukui going after Shadows. The lack of Brute Squad is really coming into play here. Referee checking the arm. I think the damage to the neck has taken its toll, and I think we may have a knockout or submission. The Crazies have won this battle, but I don't think they've won the war. Damian Stevens is going to have a lot to answer to D. Miller, El Kukui, and the man formerly known as Brute Squad. I suspect that this war is far from over.